Joining me in the studio is General Mark Kimmett. He's a retired U.S. Army general and former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs. General Kimmett, is this a surprise to you, this extension?
It really isn't. I think both sides wanted it. I think both sides need it. And as we had mentioned earlier, I think that relationship that President Trump has with Field Marshal Munir, in many ways, when the Pakistanis were pushing hard for it, he had a hard time saying no to his friend.
So the thing is, he wants a unified proposal from Iran.
Of course.
Abbas Hassani is saying that there's a that the Americans misconstrue the regime. Is there any truth in that? Because, you know, that was in response to questions when I asked him who's in charge.
Well, yeah, I think we've been misinterpreting the regime since 1979. There's a lot of discussion about the mosaic leadership inside of Iran. You never know who's really in charge other than the supreme leader. So I'm not surprised that we're hearing this, but I think that we're going to see over the next days whether there will be a second set of talks. As I said earlier, both sides want it, both sides need it, both sides don't want to go back to war. I think what will be hammered out in the next couple of days is the proposals that it will take to get back to negotiations.
There was an ominous message which did come through from the advisor to Iran's parliament speaker, saying that Trump's ceasefire extension is certainly a ploy to buy time for a surprise strike. Iran must take the initiative. Is that an empty threat in your view, that they could actually unilaterally break this extension of ceasefire as it was unilaterally extended as well?
Well, it's a very typical tactic inside of military operations to do what we call a preemptive operation. If you think your enemy is getting ready to attack, well, you want to get him before he starts that attack.
But you don't want to warn them, surely, General?
Exactly. But again, I don't think we necessarily are talking to the person who is going to make that decision inside of Iran. We've talked before about, does Ghalibaf really have the power? And now we're talking about a spokesman to an official inside the Iranian regime that we don't even know he has power. But this could also just be part of their strategic communications, try to put us, the United States, off on our back foot, since we seem to be taking the front foot with this ceasefire. So I think this is the kind of games you see prior to negotiations, prior to ending a ceasefire, before you really get down to serious business.
General Kimmett, you know, are you optimistic, more optimistic than you were 2 hours ago? That's one part of the question. And what does the day after tomorrow look like? What's the end game looking like?
I am optimistic only insofar that we'll probably see a ceasefire, which will put us in status quo for the last 2 weeks. But we haven't made any progress on the fundamental issues between the two sides. Somebody earlier mentioned that this is much like Ukraine and Russia, where both sides are sticking to their war termination objectives. And at this point, I think both Iran and the United States are sticking to their war termination objectives.
And we were talking earlier, of course, about this ceasefire. It could end up into sort of a frozen state of affairs.
Yeah, frozen conflict is a term that we use. We see that in Kashmir. We saw that in Azerbaijan and Armenia for years and years. You see it between North Korea and South Korea, who are technically still in a state of war after 76 years.
Well, we look at that. Then we look at who wants a deal here, and certainly, you know, they're making efforts. But, you know, there is also the elephant in the room, which is Israel. And do they want a deal?
As I've said in other venue, the objectives of the United States and Israel overlap, but they're not identical. And I think in this case, Israel will want a deal on what they believe to be the most concerning issues, which are the ones that the United States are going in with. No nuclear capability, no ballistic missile program, no proxies. Israel's standing firm on that. So I think Israel will watch what the United States concedes in the negotiations and make their own decisions.
General Kimmett, thank you so much. Former Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs there.